What if I told you that Vladimir Putin's biggest threat right now isn't a NATO tank, a Ukrainian drone, or even a rival politician? It's a song. And last night, his worst nightmare started coming true. You see, this isn't just any song. This is a track so dangerous that Putin personally banned it. The rapper who wrote it had to flee the country, and now, Russian youth are bravely singing it in the streets of St. Petersburg, openly calling for the end of his regime. But to truly understand why this specific song has the Kremlin so terrified, why this is more than just a protest but a profound act of historical defiance, we need to decode a decades-old signal that, for Russians, means one thing: the system is breaking. The song is called Cooperative Swan Lake. Listen to this clip from the protest. That chorus, translating to, "I want to watch the ballet, let the swans dance," might sound innocent. But in Russia, it's a direct call for revolution. The swans refer to Tchaikovsky's famous Swan Lake ballet. But for Russians who lived through the Soviet Union, this music is a ghost from a traumatic past. Under the USSR, Swan Lake wasn't just entertainment, it was the state's emergency broadcast. This song would play on a loop on every single TV channel to announce catastrophic news. It played when Soviet leaders died, but its most infamous broadcast was in August 1991. As this song played on repeat, tanks rolled into Moscow. A hardline coup was underway, not to dissolve the USSR, but to save it by overthrowing the government. The plotters failed. Boris Yeltsin famously stood on one of those tanks and rallied the people. Just 4 months later, the Soviet Union collapsed, and the hammer and sickle flag was lowered for the last time. So, when Russians sing "Let the Swans Dance," they aren't asking for a ballet. They are chanting for a repeat of 1991. They are demanding the fall of the Putin regime. And that is why Putin banned it. And the Kremlin's fear is palpable because this musical protest is merely the most dramatic symptom of a much deeper sickness infecting Russia. The discontent is no longer confined to the liberal fringe. It is now erupting from within Putin's traditional base of support. The economic foundation of his stability is crumbling. Recently, the government announced a sweeping set of tax increases, including a value-added tax VAT hike to 22%. For ordinary Russians, this means 1/5 of the price of most goods is now a direct government levy, all while their real wages are shrinking, and inflation makes basic groceries increasingly unaffordable. The protests are no longer just about abstract concepts of freedom. They are about the crushing reality of not being able to afford a car. Listen to the anger from people who you would expect to be Putin supporters.
Give us back the connection. Give us back the connection.
Верните нас!
Social tensions, expressed in the blocking of phone calls, are driving people out into the streets, and no one is willing to accept being forbidden from seeing and hearing their loved ones. Naturally, as a political organization, we couldn't ignore this. We've worked for a long time in Voronezh, defending the rights of students and workers. And, in fact, we've become the only ones in the city who can speak on behalf of these people, the ordinary residents of Voronezh, and say that we oppose this and we are dissatisfied. We have gathered here on the basis of the rights guaranteed to us by the Constitution. We oppose this policy, this initiative by the authorities, because it directly violates our constitutional rights, the right to freedom of information and communication. We, as communists, stand against restrictions.
This is the core of Putin's dilemma. He can frame the war in Ukraine as a patriotic struggle, but he cannot frame empty wallets and empty shelves as a victory. He is discovering a brutal lesson of history. You can censor the internet, but you can't censor hunger. You can arrest a protester, but you can't arrest inflation. His attempts to control the flow of information are becoming increasingly desperate. The shutdown of communications under the pretext of Ukrainian drone attacks was a transparent move to stifle organizing. Forcing the population onto the state-monitored app Max was meant to shatter private conversations. But once again, it backfired, leading to the surreal sight of Russians protesting in the streets to demand the return of their American-made messaging apps.
So, let's connect the dots.
So this is
The cultural
not just
front, a young, fearless generation, is weaponizing the very history he has tried to manipulate, using the anthem of the USSR's death throes to call for his own downfall. The economic front, his core constituents, car owners, small business people, ordinary workers, are now in open revolt over a failing economy and punitive taxes. Diablo 3. The social front, his heavy-handed attempts to control digital life are being met with direct public defiance.
They shoot videos like that. I don't know how to drive, so I'll drive to the door, damn. I had a fucking meeting today. I got all dressed up. I can't get there because this work in the center. And what do you think? I just fucking drove around? I couldn't fucking turn. And I really can't just fucking. So you understand. I'm fucking going to Kamkada too. I need to go there because I don't understand. I understand in my head that I need to go somewhere to the left or right because no obvious turn on Tverskaya. But you see, I'm spinning around and in the end, I'm completely lost. I just drove for an hour. I'm not exaggerating. F***ing driving towards. I'll just f***ing run away. Because I need to go to Moscow Ring Road. The U-turn is, damn it, things out in Kimki. Fly without a navigator. I'm so f***ing offended. It's just a shame I can't. She's just offended, that's all.
Putin wanted to rebuild the Soviet Empire, but instead, he's accidentally recreating the conditions that led to its collapse. And he's about to find out that his biggest enemy isn't NATO, it's gravity. What goes up, like authoritarian regimes and failing economies, must eventually come down. Burr, what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for Putin's rule, or just a temporary protest? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to stay updated on this developing story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.